What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Low Kick MMA preview show, previewing the event for May 30th, Woodley vs. Burns. Joining me today, as always, is site manager Jordan Ellis. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So the first thing about this event that comes to mind is that we don't have a venue for it. So what do you think's going on there?
I think the plan is Vegas. I just don't think it's official, but I feel like we're this close. Dana White's probably had a heads up from the powers that be, and they've said, yeah, Vegas is good. He just hasn't announced it yet. That's what I think will happen. But I'm sure he's got Florida on standby, and there can be a big switchery. But I feel like because he's released the full card now, something's happened with the venue to say we're good to go, and then he's released the card, but he hasn't actually confirmed it. So as I was just saying to you off camera, I've heard it's tomorrow they're going to discuss Vegas and reopening it, so it might get a bit more news then.
Yeah, so I mean, the other option they were talking about, if they couldn't have this one in Las Vegas, was going to Arizona, I believe. So they have other venues that they could use. So yeah, we'll just have to see where it ends up on the day, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's just for them. They're saving money, aren't they? They've got a big facility there to host fights from. Why would they want to pay? I'm not sure how much it costs to rent out a big arena, but I'm sure it's not cheap. So why would they want to pay that? I think they're just keen to get back to where it's free. But hopefully it's there, because then they can just start churning them out. Then there's nothing stopping them. We can get fight cards every week, maybe 2 weeks, like we did not long ago.
Yeah, that was good to have those two in 1 week, and then obviously we had the week off. So we haven't really been like robbed of an event in the last few weeks, because we did have the two and then a week off. But yeah, it should be good to get back into it, and I think we'll just go through the main card of this event, because it is a fight night and it is pretty top heavy in my opinion. So we'll just start at the bottom of the main card and work our way up. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right, cool. So the first fight on the main card is Hannah Cifers versus Mackenzie Dern. And so this matchup's, I think it's a good matchup. I think both the fighters deserve the fight. They're both at a similar stage in their career. Obviously, Cifers had that loss to... Who'd she lose to last?
She lost to Hill quite recently.
That's right. Did she lose to Macy Barber as well? I think that's what I was thinking. Yes, she did.
Yeah, she lost to a few people.
Yeah. So she's lost to some good people. And I mean, Dern just lost to Rebus recently. And I think that's her only loss too. So both of them lost to good talent. But in this matchup, I think it's all going to come down to if Cifers can stop the takedown from Dern. And I don't think she can, because in her recent performances, she's been taken down and held down before. And Dern's ground game and her ability to take people down is pretty impressive. So I think, early prediction on this one, that Dern's just going to take her down, dominate her for the 3 rounds, and that'll be it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Dern, before she went away, and I think she went off and had a child, and she was one of the ones to watch in the women's division. She was a bit of a beast, and she was tearing through everyone. And then obviously she takes the time off. She comes back and she gets a match with a beast like Rebus, and that's not easy for anyone. So I'm expecting her to come back and look herself in this one. And I think if she wants to be a top contender, beating someone like Cifers is something you've got to do. I think when you go through Cifers' record, she's a good fighter, but against the top girl, she's losing and she's getting stopped. So I'd expect Dern to want to go out and make a statement. So she'll dominate for 3 rounds. She'll be searching for that stoppage. I think she might get it. She might manage a sub or a TKO. But I'm back at Dern big in this one. I think she's a great fighter, and it's just, that time off doesn't help anyone. So hopefully she can get a few fights under her belt in 2020 and then start looking at the title again, because I think she is that good.
Yeah, so I mean, for Cifers to win, she's going to have to keep it standing. If her takedown defense is much better than her previous performances, and she can keep this on the feet, she definitely has the slicker boxing. So I think if she can keep it on the feet, she's got a chance, but I really don't think she can. I think in this matchup, she's just going to be outclassed with the grappling, and she can get taken down, and ultimately just lose by decision. I don't really see a stoppage, but I think it's going to be a one-side performance in Dern's favour, I think.
Yeah, because the people she's losing to, like Angela Hill and people like that, before Dern went away, I'd rate her above them. And then she's just took the time out. And Cifers, she's still young, so she might just jump up a few levels. And like it happens with young people, you see them one time, they look average, and then the next time they're a beast. And I think she's only 26, so I wouldn't be surprised if she come out and look great. But just from what I've seen of both fighters, I'm picking Dern quite big on this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think on all the card, Dern's the biggest favourite. I think she's a plus 400, or is it plus 400 if they're the favourite? I think it is. Anyway, she's the biggest favourite on the entire card, so if you're going to make a prediction, I think that's a pretty safe one, you know?
Yeah, I think every time we speak, I like to do quite a bold pick, and that would be my pick. Like, I'd put all my money on Dern in that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Every week I seem to give me money away, but that's the one I'd go for.
Absolutely. So the next fight on the main card is Roosevelt Roberts versus Brock Weaver. And I'll throw this one to you first. What do you think?
I'm interested to see Weaver again, just because he's an interesting character, isn't he? And he's kind of made waves. I think did he come through the Contender Series, and people are paying attention to him already. And then he had that tough. Obviously he won, but it wasn't a good win. Like, he got kneed in the head and knocked out. Yeah. So I want to see him properly and give him his own chance. But then Roberts is he's only young as well, so I haven't been overly impressed by what I've seen by him in the UFC yet. But I do think, when you're that age and he's just probably just getting his feet under the table, he could come out and put on a show. I'm expecting it to be back and forth 3 rounds. I'm not expecting anyone to finish this one. Nip and tuck, split decision maybe. I think it's a good matchup. It's well matched, and I'm interested to see who comes out, because whoever wins can go on and they're cemented in the UFC. Then whoever's not, they've got work to do.
For sure. And I mean, Roberts, a lot of his wins are by decision. His only loss is by decision. I think it's his only loss. I could be wrong, but I think it is. He's a pretty well-rounded fighter. Like, if you watch him fight, he likes to get into clinch and throw elbows and be scrappy like that. But he'll also take you down and just hold you down. He'll dominate you on the ground as well. And the only thing, I don't really know Brock Weaver too well. I've only seen his Contender Series fight and the debut he had. And in the debut, we didn't really see anything, because he got taken down, he was held against the fence, and then he got legally kneed, So taking what I can from that fight, which is not a lot, I think if Roberts can get a hold of him and clinch up and work a takedown, I think it's going to be a long night for Weaver. I don't think he's going to be able to get up.
Be interesting to see, because I do think he got robbed of like a chance to show what he did, and that's only our impression of him was getting kneed in the head. So yeah. And then you've also got to take into the fact that he got knocked out, like, and it were a nice knockout. So whether he would or not, he got knocked out, and it's about coming back from that and seeing how they look. Yeah, so I'm excited to see this one. I think it is a pure 50-50. I haven't really done a pick. I probably would edge toward Roberts, just because he does have he's got good variety and he can decision out people, things like that. So I'd edge towards him, but it's a flip really.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Roberts as well. The other thing to take into account is he's the longer and the taller fighter as well. So granting everything, and from what I can take from Weaver's last performance, I think Roberts probably works in for 3 rounds and gets a decision. So
I would edge. I'd go for the same, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. I think it will go decision either way. I don't think anyone's getting stopped.
Yeah.
I just it's a toss up really. I'd edge Roberts like 51-49% really. I haven't got a clue.
Just to preface it though, I haven't seen Brock Weaver fight, so he could come out there and finish him in the first round, and I wouldn't know any better, I hope he does. I hope he comes and puts a show on, because last time, like you said, he was robbed of the opportunity to put a show on. So,
and as we've said, like previously with these cards, they aren't the most stacked ever, but you've got these, young people, Cyphers and Danes are only 26, 27, Roberts is 26, and Weaver's he's a newcomer to the UFC, so they're all keen to put a show on, and everyone's watching. It's still the only sport in town, really, so I'm sure everyone's keen to just pay attention, and someone can go and steal the show there and make themselves a star. So that's why it's always exciting, these fights.
For sure. And so the next fight on the card is Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland, who fought last weekend, was it? Or was it the weekend before that?
May 16th, so 10 days ago now.
Yeah, not too long ago. He's coming straight back into it, and this is a good matchup for him, in my opinion. I think if he can weather the storm early and survive Rodriguez's leg kicks, and he's going to look for that home for that left hook. If he can survive that, I think he'll pretty easily just be able to coast to a decision win. That's what I see happening. He doesn't usually finish people early in the fights like he did in his last performance. His last performance was like an anomaly, but it was impressive, very impressive. But I can't see it happening again in this fight. I think he probably starts slow, and if he can survive the storm, ends up getting a decision. What do you think?
Well, I'm first and foremost credit to Kevin Holland for coming straight back, but then a big issue for me is that he fought on May 16th at middleweight and now he's going down to welterweight,
That's right.
which is it's strange. It's a strange move. I've only ever seen him at middleweight and he's always he looks big enough. So to decide I'm gonna fight on 2 weeks ago and then I'm gonna cut 15 pounds. To me, it seems a bit crazy. I don't know what's going on, but he has been speaking about it. So maybe he was on his way down to 170 anyway, and he said, "Do you want this fight last minute at 185?" And maybe that's what's happened. And then he's obviously wiped the guy out. So that's the most interesting thing about this fight is that I don't know what's going on with that weight cut. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks. Rodriguez. I was impressed with him his debut. He got Tim Means is a good win, a really good win, and in standing guillotine, it was nice, and he looked good in the contender series as well. So, if Holland is any way compromised by that weight cut, I'm sure Rodriguez will, he'll put it on him. He's got a high pace. He'll drag it out of him, and he'll make him look tired. But I am a big fan of Holland, and I think if the Holland that I know and I've seen fight shows up, he should win.
Yeah, well, I didn't even consider that cut. I didn't realize it was a welterweight. I should probably looked at that.
Yeah.
Probably. But that is a big cut, especially coming down from, like you said, 10 days ago, fighting at middleweight. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he looks, because he hasn't fought at welterweight before. This is his first time.
I think he has, but in the UFC he hasn't. So I think
Okay.
it's mostly been... But he seems to just be one of them guys. He likes to take fights on last notice, and he might have been working to get down to welterweight anyway. And the UFC have said, "We've got a fight for you here on a few weeks' notice," and he's just took it. Because he was also calling out a few people at welterweight. He just seems to be happy to fight wherever. He's like welterweight, middleweight, because he was called out for Tory, and then he's calling out welterweight. It was I think he's just a game guy, and I think it'll get him through. But obviously, he's lucky. Well, not lucky. He's very talented. So he got the finish really quick last time, and he took 0 damage. So the only damage he's going to be doing, going into the fight with, is a potentially bad weight cut. But so it'll be interesting to see him on the scales. And then I'm still picking him now. I think depending on how he looks in the scales, that may change. But I'm still picking him, and I think he'll win. Quite dominantly by decision, maybe even stoppage.
Yeah, I think he's going to win. I think it'll be a bad decision, but anything could happen. But the first round's going to be very dangerous, I think, because Rodriguez, he's vicious in the first round. He smashes you with the leg kicks. And I just think that if Holland can get through the first round, I think it's going to be his fight to win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez finds a finish early, Like you said, the weight cut could compromise him. Otherwise, it could just be Rodriguez, because he's a good fighter, He could just perform on the night and pick something up. So yeah, I don't really have a solid pick in this, but I'm leaning towards Holland.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing for Holland. I'm sure it has happened, but I've never seen any fighter fight at middleweight 1 week and then the next week fight at welterweight.
Not a week apart. No.
Yeah, you'd usually be going up. You'd usually fight at welterweight, and then next time you're like, I'm not cutting that weight. So yeah, it's very interesting, subplot to this fight. And Holland, he's been knocking about for a while now, and he's always looked, good to me. So, but Rodriguez, he's new and he's got it all to prove. So I'm sure he'll be looking at Holland and licking his lips, thinking, I'm about to take this guy out. So, another good fight, another one where there's a lot of guys with a lot to prove and a lot to earn and a lot to win. So, looking forward to that one
for sure. And so the co-main event of the evening is Blagoy Ivanov versus Augusto Sakai. I'll hand this one off to you. Who do you think's gonna get it done?
I'm going Sakai. I just think just because he's got more knockouts on his record. I just think a heavyweight, the longer you're in that fight, the more chance you've got of getting knocked out. And if Ivanov, he's a bit of a decision machine, and it just doesn't. I don't think it serves you well a heavyweight, because you're just always in there to get chinned at some point. I'm not overly impressed with Ivanov either, so I'm really backing Saki in this one. I think he's got some good wins. He's got the KO power. He's on quite a long win streak. I think his only loss was to Congo, and that was by split decision. So I think he's one to watch, and I expect him to get a quick knockout really, and then move on to something bigger, because I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes next.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think Ivanov's probably gonna have a lot of trouble with the Sakai's striking. But so the reason it's confusing to me. I can't make a solid pick because Ivanov's not been smashed. I haven't seen him been knocked out since I've been watching. When's the last time he was knocked out? Has he been finished anytime recently?
No, I think he's getting decisions, isn't he? So
yeah. So I don't know if he's going to get knocked out, and that's the way I think Sakai's going to win if he can finish him. So yeah, it's really interesting.
It's very interesting, especially a heavyweight when you're just looking at someone and he hasn't had a KO. He hasn't had a KO since 2017. And it's just like he's a heavyweight in the UFC with 4-ounce gloves on. It's not even possible. So it could be a snooze fest, that one, though, because if Ivanov wins, he's going to just totally neutralise him and he's not going to be able to get off, and it's going to be one of them. It's the way with heavyweights, isn't it? It's either like bombs going off or they just really stay out of each other's way for 3 rounds. So hopefully we get the first one, and Saki, I do rate him. I think he's a good fighter, so I think he'll win, and I think he might get the knockout, but then, as you say, Ivanov's a tough guy and he could just end up getting a decision win.
I think it's going to be that way. I think what's going to happen is not a lot of action. I think maybe Ivanov puts Sakai on the fence and holds him there, or maybe it's just a boring striking match. I don't see a finish happening in this fight. I think it's going to be a long fight that's going to go to the decision, but I can't pick who's going to win the decision. It could go either way.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just being hopeful.
Yeah.
To see these fights. I know that could be. That could be the boringest fight ever, but it all could be just someone wiping someone out. And it's always nice, especially being in the UK when it's about 5 a.m. and that co-main event just first round knockout. You're always happy.
Yeah, fair enough.
They'll put me to sleep, them too. On to the main event.
So main event, we got Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns, which I think is it's a pretty decent test for Woodley to come back into, because Burns is he's no chump, and the biggest factor in this fight, in my opinion, is the fact that Burns trains under the same head coach as Usman. And Usman just fought Tyron. They had a whole camp for that one. This is only a 2-week camp or whatever this is, how long they've had. But Henry Hoof, I think his name is, he's put together a camp for Tyron for that entire Usman fight. He knows how Tyron fights. He knows what he needs to do to beat Tyron, because we saw Usman do it. Grab him, take him down, hold him down. So yeah, I think that's going to be the game plan going in for Burns. Get a hold of Tyron, put him on the cage, take him down. And the biggest factor will be, can Tyron keep him off him, or can Tyron just stop the takedown and keep it on the feet and land something, which I think he definitely can. But it will depend what Woodley shows up on the night. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing I'm interested to see, is what Woodley shows up. I know he lost to a great fighter in Usman, but he didn't look good in that fight. He didn't get anything off. So, and he is 38 and he's just took a year off. So are you expecting Woodley to come back looking better? Because I'm not. That's the big thing. It depends. The prime Woodley, I think, beats the best Gilbert Burns. Is he in his prime now? Can he still pull it off? I'm not sure. I think the main thing for Burns is to close that gap. I think the most dangerous thing you can do with Woodley is stand in his punching range and just give him the chance. You've just got to grab onto him, shut him down, close and then he can drag him to the mat and potentially submit him. It really is a pick and fight, though, because I rate Burns. Obviously this is a big step up. Even if Woodley's not at his best, this is a big step. He's beat Damian Maia, who was, he's ready for retirement. He said it himself. That's not me putting words into his mouth. He's one more, 2 more fights, and he's ready to go. So if that's his biggest win, this is 1 or 2 steps up. So interested to see how he looks. He's on a bit of a roll because he's the king of Twitter at the minute. Everyone's rooting for him. He's a funny fella, and I hope he does well and proves everyone right, because people are picking him as the dark horse, the next in the line. So if he beat Woodley, he's cracked it. So it's just picking who's gonna win. I'm edging towards Burns. I am really. I think Woodley's probably the favourite, and he's probably earned that right. I just think if Burns is smart, closes the gap, globs onto him, and just grapples him for as long as he can, I think that's how he'll win. What do you think?
So, I like your point about him being on the cusp of title shot, because aside from them being teammates, everyone above Woodley, or not above Woodley because he's number 1, Colby or Usman, they're both good matchups for Burns, because Burns is all the credentials you could have in jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. But the problem he's going to have against Tyron is the same problem that Maia had against Tyron, which was he couldn't take him down, you know? So I think we could possibly get another one of those Tyron versus Maia fights where it's a lot of sprawling and then waiting for something to happen. You know, did you watch that fight? It's a very long fight. So
Oh, yeah.
I think we could see another one of them, but I'm also hopeful that Burns doesn't seem like Maia does, where he's not got no interest in striking, you know. So I think Burns is going to take more chances on the feet and try and test his striking caliber against Woodley's, which I don't think is a good option for him, and he shouldn't do that. He should definitely push him on the cage, try and take him down. But this reinvigorated Tyron, who's been in Thailand for his camp, and he was training for a kickboxer in Edwards, obviously, and now he's taking this fight on short notice. He obviously has to be pretty confident with how he's feeling right now, and I think we're going to see the old Tyron show up. And if he can stop the takedown, this is his fight, 100%. I don't think Burns has what he needs on the feet to beat Tyron, because we've seen him, he got finished by Hooker last time he was finished at lightweight. Although in that fight, in his defense, he did drop Hooker in the first round, but I just think Tyron lands something big on him, and that'll be the end of it, you know. So if I'm picking this one, I'm going Woodley. But either way, I'm not surprised. This is a 50-50 fight as well.
Yeah, I think Burns needs to execute a plan, and he needs to come in and actually follow a plan for 25 minutes and execute it. Can he do that? Have we seen him do it? No. He, as you said, he probably is likely to stand there.
Yeah.
And fancy. He's just had He's just had a big knockout over Damian Maia. He's probably feeling confident with his hands right now. And you can be the best striker in the world, but Woodley, whatever people think about him, he's got crazy knockout power, and he doesn't always let it go. But when he does, he turns the lights off, and Burns needs to be careful in this one, I think. And then also Woodley, I've just been reading the interview about him saying he's got some surprises, and so if he's been working in Thailand, he might come out looking like a champion again. Mm-hmm. If he's got that hunger, you never know. He might be reinvigorated and ready to go once again and just take out Burns. I think that's what he needs to do. If he wants another title shot, he needs to make a statement by wiping out Burns. But I do fancy Burns if he can just execute. It's just how smart he is. On the night, is he smart enough to execute that game plan? If he is, he'll win. If not, he won't win.
Yeah, and
it's a great fight. It really is a pick 'em, and it's a perfect fight for Woodley to come back to, because I think Leon Edwards is a even tougher fight, and I think Leon Edwards would be, Leon Edwards is smart, and he's smart enough to follow a game plan for 5 rounds, and I think Woodley probably would have lost that one. And I know I'm picking Burns again, but I think it's more favourable for Woodley. He can land on Burns. He can knock him out. As you said, he's got knocked out at lightweight, so it can happen. Interested to see it. It's not the most stacked card, but that main event is absolutely. It's a brilliant fight. I'd watch that at the top of any card, so can't wait for it.
Yeah, so I disagree with you that Edwards would have been a tougher matchup than Burns for Tyron, because I just think over 25 minutes straight striking match with Woodley, I thought Edwards would get tagged at some point. And my metric for thinking that would be Wonderboy is probably the most technical striker in that division, and Wonderboy did 50 minutes with Woodley, like two 25-minute fights with Woodley, and in the first one he got dropped, I think in the second one he got dropped too, and he still lost. He got outpointed. So I think Tyron's a much better striker than Burns, obviously. He's also a much better striker than Edwards, I think. Maybe not as technical, but if he finds a home for that hand, it's going to be a good night. But this fight, because of the wrestling and because he's a teammate of Usman who's just fought him, he knows the game plan. This is the biggest thing. There is a game plan to beating Woodley. Well, there seems to be, unless he's made changes. And Burns has all the things in place to follow the game plan. And if he can do that, unless Woodley's worked on that takedown defense and worked on the cage control and stuff, unless he's put a whole camp into that, I just think if he follows the same thing Usman did, he can get the win here.
Yeah, it's easier said than done though, because Usman is a beast. Usman's got crazy wrestling, and Gilbert Burns is more he's more known for his submissions, and then we've seen how it went for Maia. So I think he's got the work, and if he can it's just doing it, isn't it? Although Woodley didn't look great in that fight, it was Usman that made him look not great, and he dominated them. And by the end, he was just letting shots go and just had all the confidence. It was a great performance. So, I'm interested. I am really interested to see how Burns do. I think he can win. It's just on the night he could end up getting clipped, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it if he got clipped. So it really is a 50-50 anyone's fight. And I kind of want Woodley to win just because I do think he's still one of the best fighters in the world, and he's like, I'm more interested to see him at the top level. I don't think if Burns even gets there, would Burns be able to beat someone like Covington or Usman or someone like that. Like I think he's late to the game, wasn't he? So it's just Woodley, he wins, and there's just so many big fights for him. He's got Colby there, he's got Masvidal, he's got Usman, and it's so interesting.
Could redo Edwards, rebook that one.
I think Edwards is he's an unlucky guy because he's like on an 8 in a row and just still no one takes him seriously. I think he's definitely one of the best fighters. He just needs the breakout fight, and then he gets it against Woodley, and then coronavirus just decides, oh yeah, I'll pop up and ruin everything. So it's about matching him as soon as possible against the biggest name you can find, and it might be the winner of this one.
Yeah.
On Fight Island if they do it.
So going from that, I think the way for Edwards to get a title shot, hear me out on this, because this links into what I was going to talk about after. So at the welterweight title picture, you've got Usman, Woodley, Covington, who am I forgetting? Yeah. Anyway, then Edwards. I think he's fourth, right? He's fourth. So hear me out.
Usman, Masvidal.
That's the other one I was thinking. So Masvidal's off fighting Diaz, and then you've got if Woodley wins this against Burns, you do Woodley versus Covington. You following here? This is gonna be great. And then you do you do Edwards versus Wonderboy, and the winner of Edwards and Wonderboy fights the winner of Conor McGregor and Kamaru Usman. What do you think?
I think they'd be happy with that. I think Edwards against Wonderboy that's the fight to make. It kind of seems like the fight to make, but does beating Wonderboy get Edwards a title shot? Because I think in his new contract he was guaranteed a title shot if he beat Woodley. So it's just more about getting him the fight. I think if Covington's looking for the fight, then it should be Edwards, because they are the top guys really. Yeah. I think if whoever wins that, like Covington, I know he's just lost, but he's still the top guy, and he could have won that fight. It was just, in the end, he just got pounded a bit too much. But I still think Wonderboy's still on his way back, isn't he? He's just been knocked out by Pettis, and then he's got one win against Luque, who isn't one of the top guys yet. So Edwards, I don't think he'd want that fight. But if they said you're potentially fighting Conor McGregor after it, I'm sure he'd take it. I'm sure anyone would take that fight.
What do you think about that?
I don't think McGregor would be smart to be taking that fight, but then he's just a reckless guy, isn't he? So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for that, and why not? It's like, I always admire people, even if I think he's outgunned and he's too small, and I always admire the fact that he's shooting for the stars, and even if he ends up getting flatlined, it's impressive that he's trying to do all this stuff.
What confuses me most, though, you've got Masvidal, who's set up for a title shot right there. The title shot contract's in his hand, and he turns around and goes, I'm not getting enough money to take this risk. I'm going to go fight Diaz, who I've already beaten, and I know I can beat again. I bet you, I don't know, because obviously I'm not a matchmaker, but I'm sure the money to fight Usman, the money to fight Diaz is very similar, but he's just taking the safer option. Yeah. I just don't understand that. Why do you think he would be doing that?
I think he's all about the money, and I think he knows by facing Diaz again, he's going to make a load of. He'd probably make more. He honestly probably would make more facing Diaz. It's easier fight. He's beat him. It's a stylistically, it's a nicer fight. He's going to get to stand up and show what he's about. And and I think he's just interested in the money, Masvidal. I don't think he's made any secret of it. He just wants to, make as much money as he can and cash out. So, fighting Kamaru Usman is not. It's not what's going to get you money. It's fighting Diaz and then potentially fighting McGregor that's going to get you money. So I don't think he's tried hard that fact. I don't think he's too interested in getting that title. So I hope he does, because I think he can win as well. He's come back, he's reinvigorated. He's got this really sneaky striking style where he just catches people off guard, and he knocked out Darren Till, who's a crazy great striker. So it's just I think it's just money, and I don't mind seeing Diaz and Masvidal go again and let them make a load of money. I don't mind at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he wins the belt, obviously the money's there, right? But it's just having to fight Usman, and that's a high risk fight for him, especially on the momentum he's got now. He can fight Conor, he can fight Diaz, he could fight pretty much whoever he wanted to fight. Anyone's going to sign to fight him at this point. But if he fights Usman and loses, he's really only got the Diaz rematch. I don't think Conor's not going to want to fight him if he loses to Usman. Obviously, Conor's going to want to fight Usman, which is what they're apparently offering him now. Definitely not a smart fight for him, but who knows? He would take it and see how he goes.
Yeah, I think Masvidal's in a power position, or he thinks he's in a power position anyway, because he is one of the biggest stars, but he just needs to be careful that he doesn't let the star kind of twinkle out, because it's been a while now since he's had them big wins, and he needs another big fight.
Yeah.
I think McGregor's probably the fight to make, or McGregor against Diaz or Masvidal is the fight to make for me right now. I'd prefer to see Masvidal try and be a champion. As I said, I like to see people shoot for the stars, and I don't think settling for a Diaz fight or settling for McGregor, although it's great money, I think everyone who's in line to be a champion should be trying to be a champion. It's what I like to see from fighters anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And my biggest question with this is, if Conor goes and fights Usman and loses, does he still get Khabib after he fights Gaethje, or what do they do? Because I think the UFC will give it to him, but everyone in the community would be pretty not happy about that. I mean, a lot of people aren't very happy that they want to do Khabib versus Conor again, even though he hasn't had a win at lightweight. If he lost at welterweight and then they were trying to do it again, that would just be a whole nother thing. What do you think?
I don't think McGregor's actually going to go to welterweight. I think he wants the lightweight belt. He understands that lightweight is the division to be in anyway. He is a lightweight. He's not the biggest lightweight anyway, but he's a good size for that division, and he can go and make the same money fighting Poirier, in a warm, not a warm up fight, but a number one contender fight. And I think that's the way to go. There's more. He could go and fight Tony. There's so many options for him where he's probably going to make the same money. It's just that he's an ambitious guy, isn't he? So that thing of triple champion at 3 weights, I'm sure it appeals to him, but I think he'd be more interested in getting that Khabib rematch, and I think he knows that's the fight to make, and that's the biggest money, the biggest reward. Actually beating Khabib, he probably would be one of the GOATs then if he actually managed to beat Khabib. So I'm sure he understands that.
For sure. So I think that's a good segue into my next topic I got here, which is another super fight that we were looking forward to, which is apparently not happening, which was Jones going up to heavyweight to fight Ngannou. And they both seemed keen on it. Jones contacted the UFC and said, book the fight, but I want this money. And so they said no. Why do you think that fell apart? Do you think it was just money, or do you think there's a bigger reason?
100% money. I think when we last spoke, we were speaking about this, and I was saying it's just a money thing. Why would you fight, for instance, Ngannou if they're not offering you millions and millions of pounds? So yeah, it was always going to be money, because it's not a heavyweight title fight. It's not. Can they put that top of the pay-per-view without a belt? It's as I was saying, we need a belt on the line for that one before the money's there, I think. And then depends what he was asking for. I was just listening to something calling me saying he probably wants about 10-12 million for that. And UFC, as we've seen with Cejudo, they're not going to pay it if the money's not there. So we'll just wait, and John Jones can go and knock a few more off at light heavyweight, and it's getting harder for him at light heavyweight. So at some point he might just need to step up and just realise, okay, I'm not going to get the money straight away, but if I become champion, then I will. It's just money though, and it's frustrating. But for me, that fight was always a non-starter, because both guys are going to want crazy money, and it's just not there.
Yeah. So my other question for you is, who do we get against Jones next? Blachowicz, Reyes, or curveball here, Adesanya? Go.
No, it's going to be Blachowicz. I think there's definitely the money there to make Adesanya against Jones, but I think Adesanya's smart enough to know that he needs to settle in. He's still quite a raw talent, so I think he'll leave that a year or two, unless the money was crazy. I think it's going to be Blachowicz, and I think that's a tough fight as well. But it's at the same, it is a drop in level from someone like Ngannou. There's less risk, but he can still take your head off. So if Jones isn't on, he could end up losing again. He didn't technically lose, but a lot of people think he lost. And I think the longer he's putting off this heavyweight move, he's making it a money issue, and he should just go right now, because the longer he's putting it off, he doesn't want to fight at light heavyweight. He doesn't want to fight these guys. So why fight them? Because you're not going to get the best John Jones. He's one of the best fighters ever. So that's what we want to see. And I think you'd get that when he fights someone like Ngannou when there's a lot on the line. Right now, although he's defending his belt, I think he's a bit bored, and it's just a new body in there with him, and we need to just get him up to heavyweight soon as.
Yeah. So the last topic to close this out here I've got is one I think we spoke of in the last episode where we spoke about, he announced it. So Henry Cejudo officially retired. He was pulled out of the rankings the other day. This isn't something I saw coming. I thought he would hang around and just not fight and then eventually come back and fight. But seems like he's adamant about retiring. He's been pulled from the rankings. Clearly he said something personally. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see him coming back for that Volkanovski fight, or do you think this is it?
No, I think he's done now. I totally buy it. Unless, a big, massive fight comes out and someone calls him out and drags him out at the time, and I think he's done. I think it was a money thing, and he just thought, like, the UFC have still, like, not given what he wants, and he just thought, I'm a rich man. I've achieved all this. I'm one of the best in the game, and like, he's left his mark, hasn't he? So if he can afford to, step away, I'm sure he's got lots going on outside the cage. So good luck to him. I hope he comes back, because I think he's in his prime. He's getting better with every fight, to be fair. So I hope he comes back. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he was in his prime. He should have stuck around, in my opinion. I mean, there was people for him to fight there. He could have fought Jan, which is the one everyone's hyping up. He could have had that Aldo fight, which I think he had a good chance of winning. Aldo's obviously nearing the end of his career. I know he's still young, but he doesn't look like he did back in his day. So I think that would have been an easy one for Cejudo to pick up there. Obviously, TJ's coming back in a year. He could have done that. He could have been the Cejudo versus TJ rematch at 35, which I believe he could still do, because I was listening to something Charles Sonnen was saying today, that he hasn't pulled himself out of the USADA testing. He's only pulled himself out of the rank. He's not fighting. But if he's still in the USADA testing, he can come back, like, whenever. But if he's out of that, he's got to take 4 months. So long-term prediction here, long-term. When TJ comes back, if TJ fights for a belt and wins, Cejudo comes back as well and says, I want to fight for the belt.
There's a lot going on there that could drag him back. It's not like there's not a reason to stick around. I just think having that title is probably why he's dropped the title, because then he's in a rush to make a decision, isn't he, if he's got the title. If he hasn't got the title, it just means he'll come back and he'd get a title shot anyway. So he hasn't actually, given it up fully, because he'll just get an immediate shot. He's basically the champion in recess.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to rush. Like, I've just seen with Stipe at the minute, like, he doesn't, like, it's kind of clear that he doesn't really want to fight. He's got an eye injury, coronavirus, he's a firefighter. He doesn't really want to fight, but he's got that belt, and he feels pressure there's a time limit on it when there's a belt. Now, Cejudo can just go away and just wait for the UFC to come to him and offer him some money. I think that's his plan. Will that money come along? Does he want to fight TJ? He's went on record saying he doesn't want to fight him because he's a cheat. Does he want to take that fight? Maybe one of the bantamweight guys becomes a big star and wins 4 on the bounce and defends the title a few times, and then Cejudo comes out and challenges them. So it's interesting. Bantamweight are very interesting division. I just think he wants money. Yes, he won't give him it. He's got enough. He's achieved enough. Walk away and see what happens.
For sure. Well, I'll throw it to you. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this up?
Just the undercard fight between Antonia Shevchenko and, how would you say her name? Katlyn?
Chookagian.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say. Okay, so that's just an interesting one. Like, she's a top tier fighter, and obviously it didn't go her way against Valentina, but then to get matched with her sister straight away, it's just a strange one.
Yeah.
And it's a really good fight. Like, I think it's that, like we were speaking last time about the position of these fights. I think that's probably your co-main event, and it's on the undercard, so it's interesting. It's got to be weird for Katlyn, like, just because I'm sure Valentina will be there in the corner, and just knowing that she's just lost it even long ago, and then she's got to go in against the other sister. I think she'll win though, Katlyn. I think she is one of the top fighters, so I'm looking forward to seeing her back in action. Just want to give it a shout out.
How do you think she gets it done?
I think it's decision. I think she'll just outwork her. She's really talented fighter, and obviously there's not. And obviously she fell short against Shevchenko, but there's no shame in that. Like
Yeah.
Shevchenko's all-time great, and she'll be an all-time great once it's done. But she's got some big wins, and from what we've seen from Shevchenko so far, she's a good fighter, but she's not on the level of a sister, not yet anyway. So I expect Katlyn to win that one.
Fair enough. With that one, I would have to look at the matchup and break it down. I didn't break this one down prior, but I probably do agree with you. I think I don't see this Shevchenko getting a finish on Chookagian, and I think she will just outwork her. Yeah, I would have to look into it to break it down, which I didn't do. My bad. But
I know it just caught me eye because I knew we were speaking about the main card, but I was just looking at that fight and just thinking that's a better fight than all the main cards. So it's just one of them where the UFC are very strange with how they line these cards up. I think they like having a big fight at the top of the free card.
That's the feature.
Well, it's all free, isn't it? But
that's the feature prelim, right?
yeah, it's always weird. But I just wanted to give them a shout out because it's a weird matchup. It's a strange to go from one sister to the other, and then I just think she's one of the best, and I expect her to get back in the mix soon, Katlyn. So I just wanted to shout it out.
All right, well, we'll close it off with that one. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll speak to you on Monday after the fights. Enjoy.